Welcome to the Illinois State Capitol Complex. I'm State Representative Brad Halbrook, along with Representative David Freese, Leader Wilhauer, Leader Niemerg, and Leader Chairman. And sorry, Leader Freese, I didn't mean to leave you out of that equation. Guys, we just came off the House floor after a few hours of debate. We were scheduled to start at 11 o'clock. It got punted till just after noon. The Dems were in caucus for nearly 3 hours this afternoon. We got back to the floor about 4:30. Run some resolutions, run some bills. Guys, we are just over 48 hours, about 52 hours to adjournment date at midnight on Saturday night. And kind of an exciting evening, I guess, to say the least. And so with that, guys, we've got some things here. We've updated the board just a little bit. There is a shell bill to the budget. It's a House bill that got moved this afternoon. It's headed to the Senate. We have some language attached to it. Let's flip the slide over here a little bit and see what we got on the back. So what happened here on day 3 of 5? The assisted suicide bill was in. Climate derangement is now in the Senate. Anti-Trump resolutions, and of course, no budget yet. So let's talk about a couple of these resolutions, and I'm going to go right to Leader Wilhauer. HR 391. This was a bill or a resolution to kind of oppose Trump and some of the things that he's got done in D.C. The resolution went out 76-33. I'll let you talk about that a moment.
Well, I think it was very clear that Trump derangement syndrome is on full display here in Springfield. This is the state of the Democrat Party today. They're actually arguing that it is a good thing to not have work requirements for Medicaid. See, in the last, from COVID on, basically, Joe Biden or whoever was behind all of that stuff did massive increases on that stuff. They're saying in the last 10 years, there's another $1 trillion on there. And all Trump and those guys want to do is they want work requirements. They don't want able-bodied men, especially without kids, to be able to just willy-nilly get on there. And they don't want illegal immigrants on there. And right. That's the state of the Democrat Party today, that they're going to sit there and complain about this. And it's not like that was a secret when Trump was running. That's right. What the American people voted for.
Or double dipping, for
right.
multiple states.
Exactly right. Exactly right. States like Illinois game that system, and it costs us dearly, both nationally and in the states. But it's just very illustrative of where that party is at.
Leader Freese, anything else you want to add, or anybody else?
No, one of the things, we talk about our federal, our budget, our deficit, our debt. Everybody knows it's not sustainable. Mm-hmm. We really have got to get our spending under control. And this is one of the mechanisms to try to get that accomplished.
Right. Exactly right.
Chris? Well, I know that everybody, they want to, have such a reaction to the work requirements, but the work requirements amount to, I think it's 20 hours a week. And I think that it's for people that are 55 and younger, something like that. Mm-hmm. But this is for able-bodied, healthy people to go work 20 hours a day in order to get their stuff.
Right. Or just go get training.
Yeah,
or anything. You don't even have to work.
Yeah.
Right. It would get them off of Twitter.
Yeah.
All right, guys, for the sake of time, HJR 40 creates another anti-Trump cost of living task force. Again, a similar margin, 75-33 is how it went out. I don't know who wants to speak about what happened here.
The hypocrisy knows no bounds here in the state of Illinois. This is something that should have been ran under Biden. Cost of living went up 45% under Biden, or whoever was running the country, the auto pen, whatever. But they have the audacity to say, well, we're going to start a working class task force to lower cost of living on families in the state of Illinois because of Donald Trump, who appeals to the working class, who wants to make the tax cuts permanent, who really wants Illinoisans and the entire country to thrive. Yet these guys just say, well, we're going to ignore the last 4 years and our COVID spending and the fact that we have a $56 billion budget. And we have the highest combination of state and local taxes in the country. But you know whose fault it is? It's Donald Trump's fault. The hypocrisy knows no bounds, and it's actually, I'm sitting there just laughing about it, how stupid the whole thing is.
Exactly. And the thing is, why do they even need a task force to do it? They got 78 members. They've run this state for the last generation. They've ran everything.
Well,
just do it.
Yeah, next to specialty license plates, I think the next thing they like to do the best is create task force. They put 30 members on this thing. They gather maybe for a year or two and report back to the General Assembly. And whatever happens, doesn't happen. Nothing becomes of it. It's just kind of a huge waste of time to see.
Well, I think that the thing was interesting that we did have a representative sit on the floor and announce 12 House bills that actually addressed every issue
Right.
that they were talking
Republican
about.
House bills
Yeah,
that are sitting in
House
rules.
bills. And every one of those House bills was in rules. And
Right.
so they never saw the light of day.
Right.
And so we already did the work for them. They just won't acknowledge it.
Or how about stop spending money on illegal immigrants in the
Right.
state of Illinois? How is that to help working class families who are
Right.
trying to get by?
Right, exactly. Gentlemen, I think the last thing we're going to touch on here is probably the most egregious thing so far this spring. Next to this horrendous budget bill and probably a taxing bill that we'll see here in the next 48 to 52 hours is this SB 1950, came over from the Senate. The title was Sanitary Food Prep, but a complete gut and replace turned it into the Medical Aid in Dying bill. I don't know, we were debated this bill an hour and 20 minutes, hour and 30 minutes, lots of emotional appeals, very, very short on details. And I think maybe the bill sponsor is the reason why, because I know that when I've quizzed her in the past on bills, she always will spend 20 or 30 seconds leaning over to staff to try to get the answer to my questions. And it would have been more of the same tonight. So whoever wants to start in, we may want to go round robin on this because everybody probably has something to say here.
Well, everybody has had a family member, suffer from cancer. I'm sure of that. It's not a pleasant experience. I have both of my parents passed away of cancer. Horrible. But I can't imagine my parents ending their life prematurely for my benefit. I actually think Leader McCombie hit it on the head, where they would commit suicide to try and benefit us who do not want them to pass on. If my mom prematurely ended her life, my wife was pregnant with our second, she would have never found out.
Yeah, exactly. Blaine?
Yeah, I mean, a culture that doesn't value life is a culture that's dying, and we see that over and over here, and it's a shame. I mean, you can just feel it in there. It's not good.
The most disgusting part about that was at the end, them cheering the passage of this bill.
Totally
It's
disgusting and inappropriate.
Sad day in the state of Illinois.
Right. I know Adam and Chris, you gave great comments there on the floor partway through the process. Let's go to Adam and then maybe close out with Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. I think Chris did an outstanding job with his speech as well. But we didn't get to ask any questions. We have a couple of doctors on our side of the aisle, and they weren't able to ask any questions because they limited the debate to 3 minutes. We had unlimited debate, but you could only go for 3 minutes. So you couldn't ask any questions. So there was so many, and I have compassion for those that are hurting. I really do. But it was an emotional argument that was made by the other side of the aisle. We were not able to ask any logistical questions about what is happening, how this will be implemented. And we needed those questions answered. At the end of the day, I asked for verification. They were able to pass it, but 63. They only had 63 votes on this. But it was grounded in an emotional argument. And even the fact that God was invoked on the floor, that Jesus Christ was invoked on the floor, I have a very serious issue with that. Because this flies in the face of the gospel and the teaching. So it's a situation where, hopefully the Senate puts the stop on it. But it's a sad day for the state of Illinois because folks here don't value life from the upfront for the unborn. Yet now we're going to the back end of this. We're not valuing life at the end. So it's a very, very bad day.
Right. Well, and Chris, as we close out with your thoughts here on this, the difference in worldviews was dramatically on display for the last hour and a half there in the chamber.
No, that's absolutely right, Brad. And I know that to me, there's no way to sanitize this issue. And I know that when they go through their emotional appeals and their phraseology and the different terms that they want to use, they're trying to sanitize the issue of death and play God. And I don't know about you, but I think that the government has no place to be involved in this issue. It's just like, it started off with the abortion issue. It was supposed to be rare and all those things. Right. And where now we've seen
safe, legal, and rare.
Yeah, safe and rare. And now we've seen tens of millions of innocent little babies slaughtered by our government and the Democrat Party. And so, and this really isn't healthcare. It's a complete denial of a Hippocratic oath that everybody takes. I mean, like Dr. Howder so stated. But legalizing assisted suicide's a Pandora's box, and I think the government needs to stay completely out of that business because, you know, we have created a culture of death. We've minimized life, and I think that's one of the reasons why we've taught our young children that they were created by pond scum and they're headed to oblivion, and so it's not a big shock that they've minimized life so much that people drive around on the first nice weekend in the spring and shoot people like fish in a barrel. And it's because we've minimized the sanctity and the preciousness of life. And we need to stand for life from conception till natural death. That's the only way to pursue this.
Right. Well, as we close out tonight, guys, I thank you all out there for tuning in. Please like, share, subscribe, follow our content. This helps us to get this message out. We're standing here in the gap for everybody in the state of Illinois. There's others. Our caucus is 40 strong. And so there's others here that are with you. And so, but again, we need you to help us spread this word across the state of Illinois to push back against this evil, hard left agenda. Again, just a reminder, there's no budget yet. We're 52 hours out. We'll be back sometime tomorrow. We're due to start at 9:30 in the morning. There'll be some committees first thing Friday morning, and then we're due on the session floor at about 9:30. So we'll see how it goes. But as things happen and materialize, we'll try to be back to kind of give you an update of what's going on here in Springfield as we march towards midnight, May 31st, Saturday night's adjournment. Thank you.